This is another point where we are taking an alternate. It's called the Gila alternate. So this section crosses the Gila River several times. As you can see, the terrain is going to be different. I think we're going to be seeing a lot of pines, and there's an area earlier today where Aaron and I were talking, and it was like, man, it kind of feels like we're back in Alabama, like on a dirt road in Alabama, because of all the pines. So it's nice to get, you know, a little something different and be out of the desert for a little while at least. Cactus next to pine. It's like, don't forget, you're still in the desert. You're just getting a treat, a little haven while you're in the desert. But don't forget me, I'm here. Trail goes here. And you might think that it continues on there, but then you see, boop, a wall, a rock wall. So you don't go that way. You continue going this way. There is a stuff that's like all over the ground, all over the leaves, the rocks, everything. It's like sparkly stuff. It looks like somebody took a can of clear spray paint and just kind of sprayed everything. I don't know. It looks glossy, but when you touch it, it's not wet, but it literally is on everything, and I don't think I've ever seen something like that before. It's all over everything. It looks like dew, but it's not. Registry. That looks like a finger pointing. That's hilarious. I don't think that's one of them. Smell of it.
I did kind of get you smelling that tree.
You did?
I don't smell anything.
Oh, yeah, it looks like blowing trees. So Perk and I are supposedly on the trail, but as you can see, we're on a hillside with no trail and loose rock and pine needles and branches. But oh, making progress though, we think. We hope that eventually the trail appears. This is the literal bushwhacking that we thought might come. Golly. Well, had my first fall of the CDT. Luckily I didn't keep tumbling down the hill. Do you see a legit trail? Yay! Now I just have to figure out how to get to you. For all this mess. God bless. Whew. Oh, Lord. I see you. Well, it's been a pretty chilly day, and it's been kind of a rough day. I think all of us got lost at some point, and I fell down for my first CDT fall down, and so did Aaron. Oh no! Are you? So, we've only done about 14.5 miles today, which is a little disappointing. But all things considered, and everyone can still walk, we're just gonna call it what it is and go ahead and set up camp. Some days are just this way, and it feels like you battle the trail all day long, and then some days are just lovely. And you know, I guess if it was good all the time, maybe it would get boring, maybe not, but you know, the bad days make good stories, so that's what matters. So there are more people out here than I thought there would be anyway, so that's pretty exciting. I'm happy to know that that we might be kind of grouping up with some folks once we hit Doc Campbell's, which is I think like 18.5 miles from here. So looking forward to going there. There are hot springs, I hear, and they've got all sorts of goodies, and they'll let you charge your electronics and things like that. So it's like all these little milestones along the way, and places that you get to walk into and check out. You know, they give you a little pep in your step the days that you know you're getting close. So anyway, just something new to explore. Is that right? All right, I'll leave you alone. Bye. Bye, darling. The good thing and the bad thing about this upcoming stretch, I think like the next 2 days, is that we are going to be crossing the Gila River like 200 times or something. It will be something different having water all around. It seems it's going from one extreme to the next, you know, dusty and dry to just soaking wet, but that's okay. It makes it exciting because variety is the spice of life. Pretty crazy, and I didn't even think that I would feel this way, but as I approach the water to get in, even though I know it's like knee deep at best, like I'm standing here shaking about to cross the third time, and I think that it's just because of all the river crossings in the Sierra Nevada were so intense that I think in my mind I hear, you know, crossing a river or having to ford, and automatically my mind kicks in like, oh no, last time, you know, you were stressed for 300 miles over that. I think it's really good that it's a low snow year, at least for my nerves, and having to cross this river so many times on this stretch. But yeah, I didn't even anticipate that I would have any like lasting effects from it, but I can definitely tell that I do. So it's interesting, the things that you can discover about yourself out in the wilderness. So we're talking about Aaron. He is like MIA right now. We got to the Gila and waited for like an hour, and then now we've been sitting here at lunch a little bit further down the trail for at least half an hour. And I don't know, with these crossings you really could go several different ways and around different trees and all that, but there was a tricky part on the trail today where it looked like the trail kept going, but it actually went downhill to the river, and so we don't know if he kept going there. We know at some point he got off trail because we had another guy pass us earlier that camped behind us last night. He never saw anybody or a pack on trail. So anyway, we're just kind of like at a loss for what to do now. Like, do you go back and look for somebody, or do you keep going? Because there's a chance that when he got off trail, instead of correcting his mistake and going back to the point of where he got off the route, he could just bushwhack to try to make his own way down to the river. So I don't know, he could be ahead of us even now, so it's kind of frustrating. Don't have service out here. This is where it would be great if everybody had an in reach, because then we could just all message each other and send our locations, but unfortunately that's not the case. So I think we'll just hang out a little bit longer, and if we don't see him, I don't know. I'm not sure what we'll do.
What would you do in this situation?
Yes, what would you do? And then if you go back and look for them, then they could pass a totally different way, and then they're not even behind you anymore, and then they might go back and look for you, and then you don't have enough food to be ping-ponging around looking for each other in the woods for several days. So I don't know. About to cross to this side? Apparently there are two people up there.
I think they're unnecessarily trying to cross right now. So they're going to be on that side. We need to holler them down and see if they've seen him.
Oh,
If
they'll be over on the other
then
side.
that's a good indicator.
Yeah, if they haven't seen Aaron, then we know for sure he's not on trail. They're running over to meet this guy and ask him if he has by chance seen Aaron. We just got his attention. Hopefully he's got some kind of news. Well, apparently that fella hasn't seen Aaron either. So by the time that we've sat and taken all these long breaks, though, I don't know. I mean, he may have had time to bushwhack and get ahead, but I don't know. I don't know what to do. At this point, we don't know for sure if he got off trail, where he would have gotten off trail. And if he tried to cut down a steep hill to just come down to the river without backtracking on the wrong trail, then, I mean, we could just not even end up intersecting him anyway. So at this point, I think we'll keep going kind of slow today, get to camp, get to Doc Campbell's tomorrow, and if he isn't already there or hasn't shown up in a couple hours after us, then I'm gonna call somebody, because if he didn't make it to the river, then he doesn't have water. So I don't know. Starting to really worry, though. Starting to kind of freak out a little bit. What I'm afraid of is that he's decided to correct his mistake, instead of backtracking, try to come down to the river on one of these slopes. And as you can see, that might not be a great idea. So just hoping he hasn't done that and gotten hurt. I've messaged Aaron on my InReach also, so if he does beat us to Doc Campbell's, he should get signal from there and be able to send a message back that says, you know, he's all right. So hoping that we're covering all of our bases. It's just that if we go back at this point, I have no idea where he could have even gotten off trail, and we've had like 3 or 4 people now coming through behind us, that camped behind us, that said they haven't seen him or a pack on trail. So this is why it's important, if you get off trail, to use the tinkle room real quick. You know, if you put your pack there or some kind of signal that, like, hey, a hiker's using the bathroom right here, then, you know, at least somebody could say, oh yeah, we saw black pack on trail, and then that would mean maybe they just passed him because he was using the restroom. But anyway. Just passed a man named 22. He's a section hiker, and we were hiking with him for just a little piece here, but he was one of the ones that we asked earlier today if he had seen Aaron, and I think he's gonna end up camping behind where we will. So I told him, I was like, if you see a fella in a red hat named Aaron, let him know to hurry up and get to us or to Doc Campbell's as soon as possible, because otherwise we're calling search and rescue. And he said he'd keep an eye out for him. But you know, this is an example of the trail community, and even if you're not a social butterfly, when you're out in the wilderness, it's a good idea to introduce yourself to the people around you and get their names, because that way, if people go missing, you know, you've got some information anyway to help search and rescue. If you go missing, they have your, you know, contact, your memory in their brains to share, you know, if you end up missing. So it's always a good idea to sign registers, you know, anything that can help locate where you are, especially if you don't have any kind of locator beacon, spot device, you know, InReach, whatever. And I always used to kind of be like, nah, you know, that stuff's for babies, but it really is important, and you can never take safety too lightly, I guess. Well, it is really starting to wear on me that we haven't seen Aaron yet. I was hoping that somehow maybe he got up ahead of us and that we'd run into him, but it's already like 5:30 in the afternoon, so that means it's been 8 hours since we saw him last. I really am getting worried. I just wish this wasn't a section of trail where we all had cell service. That'd be wonderful. But I mean, chances are everything is okay, but you know, it just, I don't know, it still just worries me.
But I mean, if that path upstream along the creek, you know, if he assumed that was a river,
Yeah,
and that path was nice and well beaten,
and it kept going.
there was no reason to check.
Yeah,
Unless you noticed there weren't footprints, and you know, I don't know.
and there could be, because people could.
Everybody wears ultras, and if you got to Highway 15, well, this is
I'm-
right, but I'm in civilization.
So I'm just gonna walk the highway.
Yeah. Hopefully he knows.
And then how long would it take him to get service? Because then he could message me on gut hooks if he had gut hooks,
Yeah.
the inReach.
Well, maybe the highway is running through the hills and doesn't have service too. You know, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's not an interstate. It's just a state highway or something. So.
Yeah. I don't know.
I mean, there are plenty of places delivering for FedEx up in Rhinebeck, you know, in the middle of civilization that didn't have service.
Right. I think Doc Campbell's does though.
Yeah.
So if he gets there before us, he can message us on the inReach. Last night when I set up camp, I decided to message Aaron's mom, because normally I message like a certain group of folks every night and let them know like, hey, we're all safe, we're all at camp, because I have the inReach. And so I couldn't very well send a message saying that and be dishonest. And plus, I think it's important for somebody's family to know what is going on with a person, and you know, I'm not gonna keep that from them. I was hoping that she would take it well and not be too upset, because you know, it could just very easily be that he took a different route, or was still behind us or whatever. So anyway, I messaged her and she did seem worried, but okay. But she messaged me and let me know at about 12:30 or so, midnight, Aaron made it to Doc Campbell's. Apparently he had quite the adventure. Ended up going up and down the mountains. He said he did cross a creek or a river several times, went over some passes, and then hit the road and realized, okay, I've messed up. So he did like a 15-mile road walk to get to Doc Campbell's, and he got there around midnight. So he night hiked and hiked a lot more miles than we did that day. But because of that side trek, he's the only one who's gotten to see a rattlesnake. So he said about a mile into the road walk, he saw the rattlesnake. That's something else, ain't it? But we're just happy he's okay, and we're all back together now.